Okay, so a quick introduction. I am Xander Moore, and I'll be presenting on the Nama people of South Africa, focusing on their culture and recent history. The Nama are some of the oldest nations in South Africa, placing their roots in the Khoikhoi people that date back over about 100,000 years. The language is derived from Khoekhoe, from which it gains its distinctive click sounds, which we call click consonants. This link takes you directly to a website that will play about 30 seconds of someone speaking Nama. Originally, the Nama people inhabited the area around the Orange River, which, as you can see on the map here, is quite large. They were sort of spread out around it, being that they were a nomadic people, until the Diamond Rush sort of displaced them. The Nama had a communal land policy and raised livestock such as goats to build their livelihoods. As a result of their nomadic lifestyle, the Nama needed homes that could be easily built and rebuilt in different locations, and thus created haru oms. Haru oms are built of woven branches and reeds, forming mats that are capable of being dismantled quickly and easily. Woven mats allowed for ventilation, animal skins were used for insulation during the winter, and porous mats helped absorb water to deal with rain. Women would traditionally prepare the mats out of river reeds, while men collected branches and would subsequently remove the thorns and bark and fold and bend them over fires to give them both elasticity and strength. Modern haru oms are often made of plastic and other more modern materials, eschewing the traditional designs. Their oms would be assembled in a large circle with a fence link around them to create a large pen-like area. I was unfortunately unable to get proper pictures of this, so these pictures just sort of detail what haru oms themselves would look like individually. The camps were built so that the livestock could huddle in the middle of the village at night, although the shepherds would tend to their own flock during the day. The Nama people are also famously artisans, practicing embroidery and applique, which is the practice of ornamental needlework, and making lapis rocks, which are colorful patchwork dresses. You can see both a lapis rock here and Namibian embroidery in the pictures on this slide. They are also an oral people, passing down lessons, stories, fables, music, poems, and riddles strictly orally within their communities. They have as well developed a number of traditional dances, one of which is the Nama Stop, a dance they perform for entertainment, which I also have a video of. And so I'll just 30 seconds or so. And I'm going to jump around here just to give you a decent idea of what the dance will look like. So obviously this is the beginning of the dance when they're coming on. Sort of early sections of the dance here. Now something I found interesting was, as I was watching these videos, I sort of got the same community sense that you get from something like Mind Games. So it seems to evoke a similar sense of community and passion from the people there. So moving on. Along with oral history, they've developed a highly intricate wedding ceremony, which begins with the groom coming to the bride's home for the opening the door ritual, which involves the groom being questioned rigorously about the bride to ensure the groom knows the bride well. After this, the bride's family will visit the grooms to choose a date for the wedding. Gifts are then offered to the bride's family. From there, wedding preparations can take up to a year, during which time the groom presents the bride's mother a cow and a calf to thank her for nurturing the bride and feeding her as a babe. Then, once the wedding itself is concluded, the bride and groom each spend the first night apart before leaving their family homes for their new home together. The culture of the Nama is undoubtedly rich and beautiful, and so it is with a hard heart that I have to discuss the events of the 1900s. Beginning in 1904, colonialist Germany began a war against the Nama people and the Herero to conduct genocide and gain control of South Africa. The German Herero War, as it's called, saw 75%, which was between 65,000 and 80,000 of the Herero, and 50%, which was roughly 10,000 of the Nama killed. Tensions began in early January of 1904 between the Herero and Germany, which culminated in German soldiers firing on the Herero passing through the town of Okahandja. Skirmishes began to break out, and the infamous General Lothar von Trotha refused to engage the Herero in diplomacy of any kind, enacting what is called his extermination order. He read, "Within the German boundaries, every Herero, whether found armed or unarmed, with or without cattle, will be shot. I shall not accept any more women and children." The Nama officially joined the war on October 3rd, 1904, under the leadership of Captain Hendrik Witbooi. On October 4th, the Nama peoples kill Commissioner von Bergsdorf and bomb a church in Gibeon. This act is what alerts the Germans to the Nama presence in the war. On December 9th, pressures from the Kaiser to rescind the extermination order mount, resulting in von Trotha bringing the remaining Herero to concentration camps. In February of 1905, the first concentration camps are established for prisoners of war, and in November of that year, von Trotha leaves South Africa and is replaced with Governor von Lindquist. Soon after, Witbooi is killed, and the Nama under his leadership surrender, and other Nama groups follow suit. Between February and June of 1906, groups of Nama are taken to Windhoek concentration camps, and in September of 1906, 1,700 Nama are taken to Shark Island, which was colloquially known as Death Island for the staggering number of people killed. In 1 month, 252 prisoners were killed. In a single day, as many as 17 men died. The German populace places pressure on the war front on March 31st, 1907 to end the war. The Germans declare themselves victorious and have taken control of South Africa. Small groups of militant Nama refuse to accept this and continue skirmishes with the Germans. Nama people continue to be imprisoned in concentration camps. On May 8th, Kaiser Wilhelm II declares all Nama lands, excluding Berseba and Bondelswartz's territory, as German land. Colonialism proving once again that the only thing it cares about is land acquisition. On September 20th, Jacob Marenga, the leader of the only Nama group still fighting the Germans, is killed, ending the open hostilities. And in 1908, the Nama and Herero prisoner of war status ends, and any remaining concentration camps close. This is the final nail in the coffin for the war. It is finally and truly over. With the cessation of the war comes the advent of a new form of struggle in South Africa, apartheid law. Apartheid comes from the Afrikaans word apartness, and Afrikaans is a language that is also spoken by the Nama, although Nama is their more traditional language that the majority of the Nama people speak. Apartheid law segregated indigenous and colored peoples of Africa from white people. The language in apartheid law can be read as, when referring to the people it applies to, as non-whites in South Africa. Specifically, it will group people into white, black, and colored ethnicities. One of the major acts was the Population Registration Act of 1950, which registered every citizen in South Africa and classified them based on those three ethnicities. Other major laws of apartheid included the Prohibition of Mixed Marriages Act, which precluded any non-white person from marrying any white person, which was in essence because the Germans were trying to keep the bloodline pure amongst Europeans and Germans, which you can see, further in World War II and the Third Reich, sort of that Aryan distinction that they had for themselves. There was also the Separate Representation of Voters Act, which in effect created only one position in the Senate for a colored person to hold office, and 2 in the Cape Provincial Council, whilst all of the rest of the seats went to white people to represent white Germans and Europeans. Anyone registered under black or colored would really only be able to elect that 1 seat in the Senate and those 2 in the Cape Provincial Council. And there was also the Extension of University Education Act, which segregated university institutions into white and non-white universities, and no person who under the Registration Act that qualified as colored or black could enroll at a white university. Apartheid laws were introduced as early as 1856, the first one being the Masters and Servants Acts, passed between 1856 and 1904, which criminalized certain behaviors of non-white citizens. Specifically, it was looking at targeting unskilled labor, which was mostly conducted by black citizens of South Africa. But most of apartheid law really began to start in the early 1920s. Laws passed in the early 1900s took until the 1990s to be repealed, and apartheid law existed until the first non-white president of South Africa was elected, Nelson Mandela. President Mandela used the office of the presidency to repeal laws passed under colonialist Germany's influence, ending the apartheid period. It took until 2015 for German officials to recognize their actions in South Africa constituted both a war crime and genocide, and an apology still has not been formally given. Reparations between Germany and South Africa and the Nama people have been in the works for years. An apology and developmental aid are being discussed, though negotiations have slowed down. Reportedly, Germany only offered about 10 million euros, which is roughly 15 million Canadian dollars, though that has been difficult to confirm. Some sources claim it was as high as 10 million, some sources claim it was significantly lower than that, and some sources claim that no money was offered. So even if the 10 million number isn't the most accurate figure, it goes towards the idea that Germany has offered relatively little, or possibly nothing, for reparations. Proper reparations have yet to be made, and it does not appear they will be anytime soon. I just have a few final words. The Nama people underwent one of the most vile and horrific extermination events conducted in the name of colonialism, which was immediately followed by an attempt to subdue them legally in the name of apartness. And legally in this context meaning within the bounds of the law, not legally as in it was legal. Despite that, and despite having numbers that ranged in the low tens of thousands in 1908, the population of the Nama people has soared to be over 230,000 currently. They not only survived, they flourished, they recuperated, regained strength, and live on as a testament to the failures of colonialism. Their traditional practices and ceremonies have been preserved, their folk tales, wisdoms, fables, and songs live on, and apartheid law died 25 years ago. The Nama people have had a tragic history, but their resolution to hold on to their culture and survive shows that colonialism will wilt and fail, and the true culture of a people can and will survive. And of course, this is my reference list, or this isn't the whole thing. There are about 5 slides here, but I do want to take particular note of a website called Exploring Africa, which, if you are interested in learning more about the Nama people or African culture in general, this is a fantastic website to do that, as well as, if I can find it here, sahistory.org is another fantastic website. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you have a wonderful evening.